What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here with Unsleeved Media, and a look at, in my opinion, a strong competitor for your time against Magic the Gathering. Now, most of us play multiple card games, one, two, sometimes three, and I think it's important to have options out there, options that allow you to just take a break, see what's going on, play a little different style of game. Now, Force of Will has been around since about 2013, I think 2012, 2013, and has gone through its struggles with the secondary market, but it's out there. It has a competitive tournament circuit. Many local game stores support Force of Will, and some ultra basics about it are that you have a main deck of 40 to 60 cards composed of what they call resonators. For Magic players, that's creatures. You have chants, also known as spells, and additions and regalia. You win the game by reducing your opponent's life total to 0. Now, you both start with 4,000. So this is one thing about the games from Japan, is that they have like 4,000 life points. But if you play Magic, it's kind of like just having 40. The creatures are like 10,000, 10,000. That's just a 10-10. It's really easy. It doesn't get fractional. It doesn't get weird when you're playing. You also have a ruler or a J ruler that acts kind of like a planeswalker in Magic the Gathering. Now, some of the early differences I thought were, I picked up all of the intro decks from Gen Con. We're going to look at one of them here because I actually played the game last night with a friend of mine and thought it was a ton of fun. The board sets up kind of like this. You have your main deck and your graveyard here and here. And then on the other side, you have your Magic Stone deck and your J ruler or ruler. Now, the Magic Stone deck is basically like your mana. They call it will. And each turn, when you tap your ruler, there's a lot of interesting interactions. You tap your ruler, and you can decide to play a land, or you can a stone, or you can decide to do part of their ability. I found this interaction really fun because in the beginning, you're just kind of like, well, I need more resources so I can cast my spells. But then sometimes you're like, well, actually, I want to do this thing that my ruler does. Let me show you some of how the cards look. So this is an example of a Magic Stone. Now, this would go in your Magic Stone deck. You can have basic lands like this, or basic stones. You can also have some specialty stones. Let me see if I can find one. Up to 4 copies of those, like this. Now, this would go in your land pile as well. But when this comes into play, you put a mystery counter on your J ruler, or your ruler. Let me find the ruler here. So on one side, you have your ruler. And then once you activate it, basically, or you cast its judgment, it flips over and becomes like a super powerful creature with super strong abilities. So this one that I played with is a 12/12 flyer, which is already very strong. But you can also remove a mystery counter from this card to destroy target resonator. So basically, in Magic, it's like Royal Assassin. So you can tap it, remove a counter, all right, kill one of your opponent's creatures, and then you can get into some really fun stuff where you have other cards that will untap it, and so you can have some abilities where you're like doing this 2 or 3 or even 4 times in a turn, just wipe their board. It's really fun. Now, once it turns into the J ruler once, and when it dies, because it can go into combat, it can be attacked, then it flips back to just the ruler side and can never again flip back over. So one of the early fun interactions was the guy I was playing, we both kind of flipped our J rulers around the same time, and then we were like attacking each other with them because I had a 12/12 flyer. I think his was 15/15, and he played the red-green deck. This one, Elemental Surge. I think this is the one. No, this is like green-blue, I think. It was... I guess it doesn't matter. Oh, it was Blood of Dragons. This is what he played. Each ruler has like its own unique abilities, and I found that really refreshing. Like, there's a time where you're like, okay, I'm going to tap it to cast a stone. So you also, late game, by the way, you have two separate piles for your cards. And so you can either draw land. If you don't need any, you don't have to use that ability. But then you're always drawing gas. You're always drawing a card that does something. So in that way, it's kind of like Hearthstone. So you're always drawing something that you hope is relatively useful. Now, this deck has basically fairies and vampires, and it has like a tribal feel where you have cards like Alucard, the Vampire Noble, that gives all other vampires you control basically +2/+2. You can see he's a 6/6, as I would call him. All other vampires get +2/+0. And then you get creatures that work with these mystery counters that you have on your J-Ruler. Think of it like loyalty on a Planeswalker. And you have, where's this flyer? I had some bat. Here it is. No, wait. There's a bat. Here we go. This one is only costs 1. It costs basically 1 dark energy or will or black mana, I'll just call it. Sometimes it'll have 3 of them filled up. Sometimes it'll also be a number in the middle where you have to pay that many colors and then of whatever other type. Basically, just like Magic. This card, for example, this card cannot be blocked by J Resonators without flying. This card gains +200/+0 for each mystery counter on your J Ruler. So basically, there were times in the game where I had like 7 or 8 mystery counters on here. So this thing was like a 14/4 flyer. And then as you spend your mystery counters, this gets weaker. So you want to attack. There are some major differences with the combat system. You attack one at a time. And then you can actually do an attack and then like go back to your main phase and cast some stuff, then do another attack. And then you can cast some stuff and then you can do another attack. You can attack either tapped creatures on the other side of the board, or you can attack them to their face directly. They can, of course, block. The card quality, I think, is very solid. If you don't dig the art style, I mean, that, of course, is, a matter of personal preference. But I actually picked up all 5 of these very affordably at Gen Con. And it's one of those games where I think you could get like all 5 intro decks and have a ton of fun as they stand. But they also, of course, have booster packs and booster boxes to supplement your decks. And so my friend had kind of a little more refined deck. He had gotten maybe 5 boosters when he was at Gen Con. And so he had a couple cards in his deck that were kind of pulls. And the interesting thing is some of these cards have some real value too. So there is a secondary market for Force of Will. It's been volatile. But inside you get, how you play. And the best way to play is just to play it. I tried watching an online tutorial. It was very confusing. But then you get basically a ready-to-play deck, ready to go. And this looks like the Panda deck. There's some sort of Panda love in here. Oh, yeah, King of the Mountain. And I got to say, really, really enjoying this game. And it was the first time in a while. Hold on. And they fit standard card sleeves. Definitely want to sleeve your deck. So you have your ruler. I'm sorry, that's your J ruler, basically once it's flipped over. And then there's your ruler. Yeah, there's all sorts of panda. So there's a little bit of panda tribal. So some of the art is a little kind of cartoony. Zoiks. But at least I can say the men look like men and the women look like women. And that's fine by me. Some people are into the more like anime stuff. That's up to you. But here you see these decks all come with standard light stones. Look how beautiful these are too. But then also 4 of kind of these special ones. And as you open more booster packs, things like that, you can improve your deck. A lot of local game stores seem to support Force of Will. It's been around for 5 years now, so I don't think it's necessarily going anywhere. It's not one of those fly-by-night TCGs. So if you play Force of Will, I'd love to hear your opinion. As a Magic player since 1993, 1994 era, I picked it up really fast, and I had a lot of fun. There were big, splashy swings. The game I played, basically having 40 life, my opponent took me down to 100 life, basically 1 life. And I ended up winning that game because he just ran out of gas and my deck had more control and removal in it. There's cool recursion with removal spells that you make decisions with your mystery counters or loyalty on your J Ruler. It's really robust, really easy to pick up and learn, especially if you play Magic. And I definitely give it 2 thumbs up in terms of giving it a try. And I'm interested to hear what you all think about Force of Will in the comment section down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.